Hey everybody, welcome to the Future Money Show, episode 2. We talk about a lot of good stuff today. We talk about what is Web3 and it's the difference between Web 1, 2, and 3. We talk about staking and crypto loans, Bitcoin City. We talk about Artifact being acquired by Nike and what that means in the world of fashion and going in the future for brands. We talk about Satoshi Nakamoto a little bit, and we also end with some advice as usual. And I think there's a lot to be listened to in this podcast. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And without further ado, enjoy.
This is the Future Money Show.
All right, we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Last podcast, we were talking a lot about Web3 and we threw that word around a lot. And I was thinking about it after the podcast and it made me realize maybe not everybody here knows what Web3 even is. You know, what's the difference between Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3? Like a few months ago, we'd never heard those terms ever. You know, those are very new terms. So I thought it'd be good to talk about it. What is your understanding of what Web 1, 2, and 3 is? I think, why don't you start?
Me personally, I guess I'll start from Web3, come back down. I guess Web3 is like more of the application of these assets being integrated into our everyday systems is what I understand it. And to explain it better of what Web3 is to me at least is the internet of value. Basically, it's where these projects that you're buying into will be able to be used in the real world, right? i.e. the metaverse or in your day-to-day life kind of thing. Web 2, that I understand it, is the internet of information. That's the best way to explain. Like, I understand it in my personal opinion.
Yeah, so I guess my understanding of it is Web 1 was like the HTTP, right? Where that first came out and
Yeah.
that was our first entry into the internet, right? The World Wide Web. And Web 2 would be when it became easier for everybody to post on it, right? Everybody could interact with it in the form of social media and websites.
Yeah, so it's like all information based kind of thing, like
Right.
likes and that kind of
Yeah, so like, and it became very easy for us to post and to create content on social media. That's Web 2. Now Web 3 is, I've heard this term thrown around and I think I understand it. You now have the ability to own, not only post on social media through the lens of some other company, but now we have the ability to actually own the network, right? Which means we're not posting through Google or YouTube or whatever. You're posting through a like self-custodial thing. Like you own the network, meaning you get the at least part of the profits.
For sure. It's like how can I say it? You're in control. So it's your decentralization from a centralized source, basically.
Yeah, I've heard this said. So when Web 1 came out, a lot of businesses failed to adapt, right?
Yeah.
It became almost necessary for these companies to have an online presence and create a website, right? And it became even way more profitable to have a website when before the Web 1, before the internet came out, all you had was physical stores, and physical locations and that kind of advertising. 100%. So the whole world changed. And nowadays you can't even think about creating a business without having an online presence. It's like essential.
No, exactly.
And in the same way, I think that in the future, it will be essential for businesses to have some sort of Web3 presence, whether it be, gaining funding through creating a coin. I don't know what it looks like in the future, but I've heard websites be compared to coins, like in the Web3 world.
I mean, I agree. And also, I guess having control of just say your website is also very good for security purposes as well, because you're not putting that power in someone else's hands. Like you have more control over it. Like it's funny that you're talking about Web3 because you have a company called Unstoppable Domains, right? And I think I've talked to you about it. And like a .com domain, you don't own outright. You have to rent that yearly. Like you can never like personally own it. You can only rent it. But with Unstoppable Domains, for example, you own that domain outright. That's yours. It's a decentralized domain and it's yours completely. You can build a website out of it. You can use it as a payment system. You can do whatever you want with it. It is yours and yours alone.
Is it So what you got one for our show? It's dot something like I've heard dot ETH a
If you
lot.
so we have a doc, like for ours is dot crypto. So we have a future money show dot crypto. So
And
it's like
basically
that's
you're saying
ours.
that you can send money there or send money from, or how does it
Yeah.
work? I
So
don't
like
really understand.
uh I'm not sure if you've used MetaMask before.
Yeah, I've used MetaMask.
So like MetaMask is like a trust wallet, those kind of things. What happens is you link your MetaMask to the unstoppable domain, or you can link your trust wallet, or there's other applications you can link to it, but just basically some wallet that you can link to it. And instead of you saying, hey Paul, I want you to pay me 2 Ether, let me send you this long ass address, instead of having to do
Right.
that, all you send it to is a futuremoney.com, our futuremoney.crypto, and it'll automatically send it to our ETH address.
Hmm. And did you say you can like build on top of it also? Like kind of like how you
You
can
can
build
build a
on ETH?
website out of it.
It's pretty cool. It's kind of
Yeah.
interesting that you're saying that like that's like that your what you can build a website on in Web3 is also what you get paid through and also where you
Yeah.
manage your money. It's kind of fun. It's like
Yeah.
saying like youtube.com, that's where you pay youtube.com, you know, or like if I created a website, you just get paid on that website. It's kind of cool.
It is kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. When I was messing around with it a little bit, because I guess I got to it a little bit early. Because when I first opened it, you weren't able to do certain things, but now because it's becoming more popular and it's starting to grow, yeah, you can now build a website, you can manage it, all that kind of stuff. And I was just toying around with it. You can add almost every crypto to your website under the futuremoneyshow.crypto.
That's
So
cool.
if someone wanted to send us something like Solana or even like Doge or something like that, they could send it to us. It automatically just get put in the wallet as a placeholder, and then you
Mm.
can do whatever
Did
you want with
did
it.
you see that Elon Musk said he's gonna accept Doge?
Yeah, of
And
course.
then Doge took off.
It went
Yeah.
up went up 38% right away as soon as
Hmm.
he said that. Like
Did he
that
say he's gonna
is
accept
that's
it for
crazy.
cars, I think? Or what
Yeah,
was
and
it
like his
for?
merch and stuff like
Oh,
that.
his
But
merch. That's what it
I think
was.
yeah, his
Yeah,
merch.
of course. Of course he'll accept it for his merch, dude. He just made a bunch of money probably on Doge.
I mean, isn't it crazy though? Like literally, like one celebrity tweets and it's just like a frenzy,
I don't
whatever
even know if
coin.
it's
Like,
any celebrity. It's Elon Musk. Elon Musk has so
yeah, that's
much
true.
power over these markets. It's crazy.
That's because he goes against the SEC, like literally, like publicly tells them to go F
Yeah.
themselves. So I mean, like, yeah, like
All right. Well, I think this would be a good time to talk about the crypto loans.
yeah, sure. Now that we're on the topic of decentralization,
Yeah. Why don't you start
um,
us off?
all right, I'll take it from here. So I was actually this caused me to go and actually do some more research, but I was talking to a friend and we were talking about investments, and he was telling me that he has a wealth manager that does investments for them and gives them like their yearly return, gives them a yearly dividend and stuff like that. And just out of curiosity, because it is a good friend of mine, I asked him what was his percentage, and he said it was 12% is what he gets back every year. Now, for me, that's really really
Yeah,
good
that's pretty good.
coming out of this market. That's pretty solid. But with that being said, I told him without me lifting a finger, I can guarantee him 10 to 12% in the crypto market, guaranteed without me doing anything. And that's without me doing any hard work at all. That's just me putting it all into a stable asset. He's like, how, like, how can you figure that out? And the thing is, because it's such a new space, people don't know, I guess, where to trust or how to look for these things. But there's platforms that give you. I know we're gonna go into crypto loans, but I'm just gonna take staking first and then transition into that. But you have staking platforms on almost every single exchange. Now, for me, my favorite is Nexo. This is not financial advice, by the way. I use Nexo for my stable asset staking because I get 10 to 12% on USDC, USDT. Like you can't get that from a bank, like not even close. And the fact that he has a really good financial advisor that's getting him 12% out of the stock market, that is very good in my opinion. But I can get you something from a very stable asset. That's not me taking any risks at all. That's just me just putting your money aside and letting it accumulate like in the safest way possible. If you were to take a more riskier approach, you can make 30%, 40% APY on your staking assets. And if you really want to take it to another level, I mean, we'll another podcast will talk about DAOs, but DAO projects, you're making hundreds of thousands of percent, 1,000%, 18,000% on your asset. But yeah, like staking is Polkadot 2 years ago when Polkadot was like $7. And then Polkadot had it had its run up to like 50 or whatever. But I made 17% on my Polkadot from when I first started staking. So I made so much in the last 2 years of just holding it. It's ridiculous.
So when you say you can put it in a stable coin and it will be a lot more secure and less risky than some of the other staking methods, is that just because it's tied to the US dollar? Is that
Yeah.
So it kind of holds. So would you say it's comparable to like staking the US dollar per se?
Yeah, without the return. The most known coin is USDT besides Bitcoin. I don't trust Tether for my own personal reasons. I think Tether is a bubble that's waiting to pop. But USDT is my asset because they're like with Circle and are created by Circle. And I just love their project. They're going about it the right way. Now with them, they're a very trustworthy project and they are tied to the US dollar. So whatever the US dollar is doing is what they're doing as well. Like kind of, they're backed by them kind of thing.
That's interesting. Yeah, well, I don't get how there can be thousands of percent. I just don't understand.
Yeah, with the DAO projects.
Yeah, I guess I just don't understand. We don't have to talk about it right now, but how can that be possible? It doesn't make sense to me. I've seen hundreds of thousands of percents in some of them.
I'm gonna throw this out there to anyone that's listening. A lot of people got into Time Wonderland, which was amazing because of the amount of percentages that they were doing. But Hector DAO is insane, like insane percentages that you get back. The only thing about DAO projects is because we're in a bull run, it kind of sucks because if your project does its 10x, its 50x, its 100x, then you kind of get screwed because your money is going to be worth more than whatever you put in that DAO anyways. Because what 10x is 1,000%, isn't it? Like so, yeah, it's kind of tough. That's the only risky side of it that I see. I mean, I don't think they're going to be sustainable. As I don't think 90% of the market is sustainable. But right now, it's just the next wave. I think there will be DAOs that stick around after. There's been talk that VeChain might turn into a DAO. Now, VeChain is a very big project. Right. So if they do that, it's credible. But then whoever's holding VeChain right now is going to potentially hold a big ass bag. So it's like...
I should have bought VeChain. You have VeChain, right? You have a few percent.
Yeah, I have a lot of it. Yeah. But we'll talk about it like in another podcast when I like do more of a deep dive.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know. Let's talk about crypto loans then. I know that a huge percentage of the crypto market is leveraged, like a way higher percentage than the stock market. I know it's a lot smaller of a market, but I know it's like I forget the percentage. I looked at it one time, but it's like a huge percentage of the crypto market is leverage.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I also know that I remember Coinbase used to be able to like get loans to buy houses or something literally on the front page off collateral of your Bitcoin.
Yeah. And I mean, you could do that on Binance. You could do that on Nexo, like I was saying. You get collateralized. The crypto loans is crazy.
It's super risky. I feel like
it is risky. I mean, that's the thing though. But that's the thing about these markets. These markets are very volatile, very risky. But if you are confident in your investment, and like say for example, okay, so we know in the crypto space you have your runners and you have your laggards. So the assets that you think that are going to go last, but you have a good accumulation of, you can use that as a loan to buy whatever else you need to do, and then obviously, like pay it back. But it is risky. It's extremely risky.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're confident in what you're doing as a trader, then you're good to go. I mean, I dabbled in it a couple of times, very small loans, nothing like too risky. But yeah, I like it. The only thing I didn't really like, you have to put up a substantial amount of collateral in like for what you get back. But I mean, it's your crypto at the end of the day. Like no bank problems, none of that. Like it's very straightforward, very easy. Approvals are like 100%. So I mean,
What do you
it's
what do
very
you think?
appealing, very attractive.
Yeah, what do you think about this? I know. What do you think about going to a bank and getting a loan at like, I don't know, 6% interest? So I don't know, something like, I don't know what it's at right now. Something like 5% or whatever it is, and then going and staking it and getting 15, right, and paying off that loan, and you just get the easy bag. That's passive income right there, you know.
I mean, yeah, it is passive income. I'm not gonna lie to you. You probably just gave away a secret. I didn't even think about that. That
Yeah,
is
no, I've
very
seen people do that. You just go and get a low
not
interest
financial
loan.
advice.
Yeah, you just go and
Not
get a low
financial
interest
advice.
loan and go stake it for get like a huge percentage and pay it off super fast.
Bro, it's crazy. But that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine that. Like, you're getting 12% in a stable asset. So you're not taking any like major risk whatsoever. Kraken, for example, to me, Kraken is the best security exchange that you could ever get because they have a bank charter. I don't know about many other exchanges that have bank charters, but Kraken has a bank charter.
Mm.
Kraken is what I use for my transactions because it's by far my favorite exchange when it comes to stuff like that. I have an asset in Kraken right now that I get 20% for staking that asset. It's a solid asset. Some big researchers, I won't say who, but some big researchers actually back this asset, and you get 20% on it. So I'm just here like, yeah, give it to me.
Yeah.
Give it to me. And the crazy part is if I go and take out a loan for like say 10 grand, right? And this asset is above $1 and I'm getting 20% on that asset and I stake my 10 grand or whatever, like I'm gonna make like a ton of money on a lot of passive income on that 10 grand loan that I took out for sure, like you said.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I wonder if over time, like, because we don't see these kind of rates in the stock market so much. I wonder if over time, as the market grows and becomes more stable and has a lot larger market cap, I wonder if some of these percentages will drop in the future.
Oh yeah, no doubt. No doubt. 100%. It's because it's new. It's new, it's growing, that kind of stuff. Like you're not gonna see thousands of percent, hundreds of percent in the market when regulations come. However, those assets that are still around, those are going to have their initial big boom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're still going to have gradual growth for sure because they're now going to have institutional money just pouring into them. Like for example, when I was in high school, an Amazon stock cost $200. Like I'm pretty sure it's a
Jeez,
couple
that wasn't
thousand
even that.
dollars.
It was $200 when you were in high school.
Yeah, yeah. So you're talking 2015. It was like 200 or something dollars
That's
when I was in high
crazy.
school. But now, you're talking now it's 2 grand. Like Netflix was Netflix was $40 when I was in high school.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think people forget how fast sometimes this stuff happens.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, so a space like this that will have your Googles, your Amazons, your Netflix of the crypto world. Just imagine the price appreciation that those coins are going to have.
It's pretty interesting. I know you wanted to talk about Miami a little bit, or at least Bitcoin City.
Love Miami.
I know they have a lot of different conventions in Miami. Are you referring to Miami when you say that?
Bitcoin City.
Yeah, or are you referring to something else?
I'm referring to both Miami and El Salvador. One is hot, one is not. I'm gonna be real with you. So Wyoming was like one of the most like crypto friendly places, but I mean, who wants to go to Wyoming? Like, no offense, obviously. But then Miami now is like the Silicon Valley, in my opinion. And a lot of major crypto people have moved there. Obviously, they have the Bitcoin conferences there. There's a ton of innovation moving to Florida, especially on the crypto front. It's growing like crazily. The amount of people that I've seen that are influencers and have a lot of knowledge of this space have moved there to build their brand kind of thing. With El Salvador recently made recently in the last couple of months made Bitcoin legal tender. Now, personally, I don't know if there's something behind that. I don't think it's a good thing because I mean El Salvador is a third world country, isn't it? Like their economy is not really that great. So yeah, I mean one can only assume that they have a lot of corruption going on. So it makes sense that Bitcoin would become legal tender. But if I could see Bitcoin becoming a legal tender in some other major country, that's completely different. You know what I mean? So when I
Yeah.
saw it, it was good for like a hype kind of stance and oh hey, a country's adopting it, but it's El Salvador. It's
See,
not the
I
US, it's
I
not
thought
the
like
UK or something like that.
my assumption is that some of these third world countries they just have failing currencies and just like you hear of countries in Africa that just they'll burn their money or they just walk around with
Similar.
wheelbarrows of money for a loaf of bread or something. And that's just because they have a failing currency and maybe Bitcoin sounds like an appealing alternative to them because they don't really have a better solution. Um,
Exactly.
and maybe that's the position El Salvador's in. I'm not sure, but I don't know. That was my assumption of why maybe they do that.
For sure. I mean, I'll dive deeper into it and then like next podcast I'll probably finish out my thought. But yeah, I would say that I don't think that was a good thing. I think there's more behind the scenes. I think it got the attention of people for sure, but the price action didn't show that it was a good thing.
It's funny. I hear in Florida right now there's a lawsuit going on with the guy who claims to be Satoshi.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
he claims to be Satoshi, and basically Satoshi is the pseudonym for the person who created Bitcoin, right? He's still anonymous, and he has control over over 1 million Bitcoin, and
You want me to be honest with you?
it hasn't even moved. It hasn't moved since he's had it. Really, like he hasn't sent it anywhere.
I don't think it's one person that created Bitcoin, if I'm gonna be real with you.
That's probably true. I can't imagine it was one dude.
I think it's an organization, and I'm not gonna say who or what I think it is because I'm not trying to get canceled. but,
I know. Wouldn't it be
but
something
if you
if
look,
like wouldn't it be something if the Bitcoin, like the decentralized coin, was really created by like the most centralized companies?
okay, I'm just gonna say what I think it is, and actually, you know what? I'm not going to. I'm just gonna let people wonder. But search up where the first Bitcoin block was made and where the first Bitcoin transactions
Where
happened,
was
and
it?
then
Where was it? Tell me.
just put two and two together, and then you'll be able to assume where I think
All
it
right.
was good. And to be honest, it would only make sense that this entity made Bitcoin, but because of what they're supposed to do, it would make sense because it would be able to monitor everything and remain anonymous. Because I mean, that's what they would do. But so I'm gonna hint at it. So you have something on the left, you have something on the right, and what's another word for something in the middle? It begins with C.
Uh,
You have something on the left, you have something on the right, and then middle, but instead of middle, replace it with another word, and the word begins with C. And it ends with L.
just say it, bro.
All right. The first word is central. I'm not saying
Oh, I
any
get it.
more
Okay.
after that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe.
The second word in that is if you're not smart, it begins with I. That's all I'm gonna say, and that's who I believe created Bitcoin. Leaving it at that.
I don't know. I could see a world where Bitcoin was created by some organization or agency. uh, but I don't know. Like I definitely don't think this guy's the dude. But what I do know is in Coinbase's like when they went public, they listed all of the things that they think could be a risk to their business and if it happened in the future. And one of them was the revealing of the name of Satoshi or revealing the identity of Satoshi. If that came out and we found out who created Bitcoin, Coinbase as a company believes that it would hurt their business because it would hurt Bitcoin because I don't know. There's something about it being anonymous that makes it seem better, I guess.
If I'm gonna be completely honest, I no hate to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the granddaddy of the space. It is the boss right now, right? It's also the biggest branding thing when it comes to crypto. Now, my thing is Bitcoin is very antiquated. It's very slow. It costs a ton to mine. So, but because it's so big, yes, if the identity of who Satoshi is were to come out, yes, it would affect it quite heavily. It would affect the market quite heavily across the board. So any exchange that's holding Bitcoin holds what, $1 trillion market cap? That's half the market. So yeah, it would definitely affect it significantly. But then if you also know who it is really behind it, that could make or break you as well. If it, I mean, then you could start with your innovation side of it because now you can readapt and revamp yourself at that point once you've outed who you are. Or it could completely crash, and then
depending on who it
then it's your
is.
altcoins that take over. Exactly. Then it's your altcoins that take over. Because it would be really bad if a centralized entity is who created Bitcoin and they're promoting decentralization. That'd be a contradiction.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Really play out well.
All right. Well, there was a big acquisition in the world of Web3, or I guess we can shift to this. Nike bought Artifact. Have you heard of Artifact before?
I have heard of Artifact. I don't know.
They're like a digital company brand. Probably brand is a better way to call them. They create like collectible sneakers and shoes in like the NFT space, digital goods space. They've had a lot of successful stuff. I know they have lots of different releases that they've done that have popped off with the youth. But Nike bought them. They acquired them, and it's one of the big moves here. Like the past big move was Adidas. They bought a Bored Ape. That was their way of getting into the NFT space. They bought a Bored Ape, and then Nike comes around the corner and acquires Artifact. They didn't release the details of it, but it's probably going to be anywhere from like $300 or so million to upwards of $1 billion is how much they paid for this company, which honestly might have been a steal. Honestly, Nike's always been kind of a company that kind of only targets the younger demographic. They kind of ignore everyone else and they just focus on the youth. They'll even say it. I know that's because they believe these trends are started by youth and they're driven by the youth, and they probably saw like an overlap between their core demographic and NFTs. That's the only reason they would do this.
For me, just I since I was a kid, Nike is by far my favorite brand.
Mm-hmm.
Nike should make me an ambassador like by now because of the amount of Nike things I own. Nike as a whole is, if you think about like your major athlete under their brand, even just sports, sorry, like just in general, like Nike's now reached out into the music space. And now, like you said, the NFT, because like, okay, look at Drake. Drake is what? Arguably the biggest artist out in our generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Drake has deal with Nike and Jordan. Like, I mean, Jordan is Nike. That's the same. But and even look at that as well. Like, yeah, Nike is a crazy company, honestly. They're
I mean, if they want to get into this Web3 world, which they do obviously, and they are, you can think about how they would go about it. They could hire programmers, and developers to kind of develop their own stuff, but those developers are probably already making millions of dollars, so like
So go after a leader.
So they
and
so
own the
they
company
either
and then make
yeah
them do it.
yeah like you can't just hire a bunch of them. You have to pay them a lot in salary because they're already making so much. So the move would just be acquiring one of these things like they did Artifact.
Exactly. And I
Um,
mean, like Adidas is obviously a really big brand as well. And they're like I did see that because on Twitter they changed their picture to one of the apes.
yeah.
And I mean, like even you go through their website, you can see that they mention it and stuff like that. It's just everyone is adapting right now at the
Mhm.
moment. Like even the athletes. Like I saw Steph changed his Twitter picture to an ape as well.
I know everybody's
I
just
was like,
turning
oh,
their things to apes or whatever NFTs they have.
yeah, like even the rappers are making like NFTs now. I saw a lot NBA
Little
players as well. I
baby.
saw Baron, yeah, Lil Baby. I saw Baron Davis, who's like an older basketball player, but I saw him trying to sell his NFTs as well. I was like, oh, interesting. Everyone's getting into it.
Some of the athletes are now even taking their pay in crypto.
Like Odell taking the rest
Yeah.
of his check in Bitcoin.
There's a few of them. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what Nike does with it. They could go the route. There's a few things they could do. They could probably go the route of just ending, like Artifact was their main competitor, right, in the sneaker NFT space. So they could just end it, right? I feel like their acquiring of Artifact is more an acquiring of their team and without having to go and find developers, So they're just gonna probably develop some cool stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. But one thing
But I
I
mean, you'll
do
probably
think
see
it will do.
collections with Artifact as well, though. I mean, because it's the same thing. Like whenever you see like okay, you have like Nike stuff, but whenever you see a Nike X, another brand, Nike X, whatever, you
Mhm.
know that's gonna have like 5, 10 times the value. Like, all right,
Right.
like for example, if you get one of the Drake Nike items or merch, anything like that, bro, it's like 10 times more than what you pay for that regular item from Nike.
Right.
Or if you have like a Nike X Off-White something, like it's ridiculous. Like the prices are crazy in comparison. So that if you have a Nike X Artifact in the NFT space, you're gonna be like, oh, yo, that's something special.
hmm One thing I do think it will do is this is going to force other brands to do it as well. Like if Nike is leading the way and is pretty much one of the first, like does one of the first acquisitions of these companies, it's going to force a lot of other brands to do the same. So I think
For
probably in the
sure.
next few months, especially next year, we're going to be seeing a lot of these different news events. We're gonna hear Adidas and Puma and all these different companies. We're gonna hear them getting into the NFT space for sure. One interesting thing about it is that when the internet came out, like Web 1, Web 2, it more Web 2, it created hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of different fashion brands, right? Because it lowered the barrier to entry, and now you have so many different fashion brands. In the same way, I feel like this NFT space is going to lower the barrier to entry even more. And in the next decade, you're going to see multiples of what the amount of fashion brands we've seen in art and whatever it may be.
See, I agree with that. It'll be better for artists. The only thing is about like your traditional artists, they're unfortunately gonna have to adapt with the times. But I mean, that's anything you do in life.
Right.
But yeah, no, this is gonna be way easy, not easier, but it'll be a better platform for them to get their artwork out. It's like we were talking about last podcast. We were talking about like like them kind of having a barter system because you're gonna have so much out there. You're gonna be picking it on the creativity behind it rather than just the name. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like same thing with fashion brands. Like yeah, beforehand, like I mean, don't get me wrong, Gucci, Louis, all that kind of stuff is still very, very, very popular. But now you have Nike making exclusives, Adidas making exclusives, Under Armour making exclusives, like all these other brands making exclusives. Like it doesn't take away from obviously those big brands, but I mean at the same time, like no one's gonna knock you for having like an exclusive Nike, like jumper or something like that. So and wearing other fashion brands that that look cool and stuff like that. Like I have a pair of pants that I wear whenever I go to the gym. They're the most comfortable pair of pants I've ever worn in my life. I don't even know what brand it is, but they're nice. They're sick.
Yeah.
Like they're camo and they're really really nice. but I just like the style of them, so I started buying some more stuff from them. You know what I mean? Like it's their fashion and it fits me nice, so I like it. But no, you're 100% right with that. But the thing is, I think the prices of stuff will for sure go down with the more people coming into the market.
Mm-hmm. it's it's interesting that it's literally like Nike is getting into the shoe game in the NFT space, which means in the digital space. So imagine you're walking around in Sandbox, walking around in Decentraland, and you got some nice Jordans on that only 100 people have, and everyone's looking at you, and you paid a lot of money for them. I guess Nike. Do you see a world where Nike sells more of those in the virtual world than they do in real life?
Yeah, honestly. I mean, like I'm gonna keep comparing the metaverse to GTA because like I'm not gonna lie, like when I get like really, really bored and I just want to play GTA, for those that have played, like I have, you get a couple apartments, you get like a house or whatever, whatever. So I have like suits and then I have like my casual wear and so on and so forth. But just comparing GTA to what the metaverse will look like you go into a store, you have like the high end store that's in like LA and GTA that you go and pay for like the more expensive stuff. Then you go to like the lesser expensive areas and you buy the cheaper stuff. It'll be the same. It'll literally be the same. Yeah, I think that you'll have a situation where because people don't really want to wear the collectibles. Like I have a pair of Jordan 4s that are collectibles. I haven't put them on my feet one time. Jordan 11s are my favorite 11s. I have like a collection. I haven't put them on because I don't want the value to go down. You know what I mean? Like I
That's a
can
great
resell
point.
them
Yeah.
whenever I want. Digitally, it won't matter. My shoes aren't gonna get scuffed. They're not gonna get ran down.
Right. And imagine if Nike introduces, you wait in line, you buy the shoe in real life, you get the NFT version of it, and you can go wear it. That would
Exactly.
be so cool. They would have lines out the door
So
for
I can
that.
wear it. Exactly. So it's like I can wear it. Like, all right, rest in peace, Kobe. Kobe's are my favorite shoes that I played in, right?
Hmm.
So I have like a few pairs of Kobe sixes. You can't buy Kobe's like for retail anymore. Like they're just not a thing, especially now that like Nike having like the dispute with Vanessa and stuff like that. Like this, you can't get Kobe's easily anymore. So I can see that where they're like they might have like one more release of like, oh, we're gonna release this pair of Kobe's. If you buy it here, you get the NFT version of it that you can wear around in the metaverse. Like people that play 2K, like you go to my park. But if you're in the metaverse and I see a basketball court, oh look, I have these Kobe's on. Like they're rare, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I'm not scuffing my real Kobe's in real life. They're still in the box.
Hmm. I mean, we already get a taste of it in video games when we buy skins. Like
Yeah, for
everybody
sure.
buys skins when you play video games. It's like, oh, let me use yours. Let me use your skin. Yours is really cool. People pay a lot of money for that, bro. And in Valorant or CS:GO, those skins they get up there, man. Some of them are upwards of $100. Like they're that expensive, and people buy it. There's a huge market for it. I absolutely see a world where they sell more in the metaverse than they do in the real world, only in the sense that they can be global, right? Everybody will wear those shoes, whereas it's a lot harder to sell them in a lot of these
100%.
countries. Whereas I feel like this Web3 world will be global. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it would be probably a good place to give some advice. We could close it out.
You can
I guess
start.
yeah, I'll give mine. I get caught up in school. I do a lot in school. I do a lot of reading online and studying charts and doing that kind of thing. But I kind of lose touch with actually reading a physical book sometimes. And I've been wanting to do that lately and get back into reading like I did when I was younger. So, I mean, I'll give a suggestion. This is the book I'm reading right now. It's called The Intelligent Investor. It's by Benjamin Graham. I listen to a lot of podcasts also. I kind of do that instead of reading books, but yeah, I just think it's good for us to actually get a physical copy of a book sometimes. We get caught up in reading on our phones and on the internet and on our computers. So yeah, that would be my advice if anyone wants to take it, because I'm taking it.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. Honestly, it was the same for me. Because like when I'm in like heavy like work mode, I tend to put an audiobook on the back or something like that, just so I can listen to it in the background, or even like when I'm taking a nap, I'll like play an audiobook and fall asleep to it.
Mhm.
I'm just absorbing that, like, like that positivity and good energy kind of stuff. For me, taking a walk. I never thought in my life that taking a walk would have made such a big difference. I've had days where I'll get up in the morning and I'll work straight till dark, and I don't realize, like, you can see my blinds are down behind me, so it's like it's probably dark outside now, to be honest. I haven't even looked. Taking a walk and taking a fresh breath, like taking 15 minutes, 20 minutes to myself, no phone, no internet, no nothing, just sitting with myself, has been the most refreshing thing that I have been able to do. I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody, but just taking some time for yourself is really, really good. Another thing for me is distractions. I've eliminated as many distractions as I possibly can because I have goals, and I'm pretty sure everyone that's listening to this, you have goals as well. You won't be able to do it unless you eliminate the distractions that are around you, honestly. So if you want to lock in and focus, you need to push yourself to get rid of those distractions. That's the only way you're gonna be able to start to do what you're trying to do.
Yeah, that's good advice. I like to go for a walk in the morning, or a walk or a run in the morning, because it kind of starts my day off good.
Get them
Um,
endorphins going.
yeah. I feel awake, gets me going. Get to be outside for a sec, breathe some fresh air. Yeah, maybe I'll start doing that. Maybe that'll be my routine. I'll wake up in the morning, go for a run, read my book for like 30 minutes, and then get the day started. Yeah. All right. Well, I think it was a good episode. Uh, drink lots of water, read a book, go for a walk, buy an NFT sneaker from
For
Nike.
sure.
And yeah, so make sure you like, subscribe, follow for more. We'll be uploading soon. Yeah, thanks for watching.
For sure.
See you next time.